equations of a circle? Is that what it's called in the classroom? Alright, so that is the parent form. X squared plus y squared equals r squared. And out of that parent form, how it's written like that, oh Lord, just turn it on, it's already acting up. The center of the circle would be 0, 0. And the reason is because there's nothing being added or subtracted to the x, and there's nothing being added or subtracted to the y. Whenever your center is not at the origin, you'll start having stuff happening in there with your x and your y. For example, I could say x minus 2 squared, I'm just making up an example here, plus y plus 5 squared.
Do you want us to write this down?
That'll be good for you. Is equal to 25. Okay, so out of this, check this out how your center is going to be now. And you'll figure it out. The center is going to be 2, negative 5. Where'd that come from?
You just took the opposite signs.
Very good. It's always the opposite sign in there. So, did he go over that on the video?
I mean,
Or you just remember
he
it?
did it, but he
Okay.
didn't like say anything about it.
Okay, so if 25 equals r squared, what would your radius be?
5.
Very good. Okay, so let me clear that off there and we'll just start on the worksheet. I got what, I'm gonna leave the blanket stuff up there. Okay. So on number 1, it gives you x plus 3 squared plus y squared is equal to 21. It wants the center and the radius. So what would the center, it's always got to be an ordered pair, negative 3, very good, because the right here, and then 0 because nothing's happening to the y. What would your radius be?
Square root of 21.
Whatever the square root of 21 is, very good. And I would prefer you just to leave it like that. If the directions say something like round to the nearest whatever, then you could type it in your calculator, but if not, I would just prefer you to leave it like that. Okay, so those are the 2 answers you need on number 1. Everybody's got those right. We good? Okay, number 2, now it goes the other way. It gives us the center, and it gives us the diameter. We got to make a connection about diameter. And it asks us for the equation. Okay, so the x coordinate of the center is 0, so that means nothing is affecting our x, right? So it's just an x squared, plus my y coordinate is negative 5. So what's that going to look like in here with my y?
Y plus 5.
Very good, y plus 5, and we just square that whole quantity. Now, this is supposed to be an r squared out here, right? Equal to your radius squared. So how does diameter and radius, what's their relationship?
Diameter is radius times 2.
Okay, so I should be able to take that diameter and divide it by 2, and there's my radius, right? But now we need that squared.
So 24 by 2.
So when we square that, close, Christian, when we square that, the square and square root cancel out, but you also have to square the bottom. So 24 divided by 4 means this will be equal to 6. Very good. So that would be your number 2. It wanted that equation. Alright, then the last 2 are a little bit tricky if you don't remember from geometry what something that's tangent means. So we'll go over that real quick. Everybody good on 1 and 2? Alrighty. So, come on, where's my mouse? There it is. Well, I can't find that new page. Okay, so just a generic example. If I've got a circle, isn't that pretty? And something is tangent, that means it just touches it on the edge. So it's not, this would be tangent if I'd drawn it better and it's just bumping it on the edge. It's not like intersecting it or anything, right? Y'all remember that? Okay, so that's going to come into play on these last 2 to be tangent to something. Come on, pages work for me. Let me get an axis drawn for this one. Okay, so on number 3, we are a center at -3, -2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So there's the center of our circle. Then it says it's tangent to the x-axis. Well, the x-axis is this horizontal one up here. So that means, I'll just draw it rough over here, that means that that circle is going to be tangent to that x-axis like that. So if it's going to touch that, that means its radius is going to stop there. So its radius is going to be 1, 2, right?
Mhm.
So I should be able to count from this dot 1, 2 every direction. 1, 2, 1, 2, and there's my circle. Too bad I can't draw a pretty circle. I could have got the circle drawer. I should have done that. So it says name another point on that circle. Well, I just plotted 4 of them, so just pick any one of them. Let's say 1, 2, 3. This one is at -3, 0, so I could use that one, couldn't I? I mean, I could use any of them, but then the kicker is it says to check that in the equation to make sure it's true. So we got to write an equation. So I'm going to have my x, my y, and equal to something. Okay, so what on my, look back in the problem, my center was at -3 on the x, so what's going to go in here with the x?
Positive.
Okay. My -2 was the y, so what's going to go in here with the y?
None.
Huh?
Positive.
+2. It was, the center was at -3, -2. Okay, and then we figured out our radius had to be 2, so 2 squared means I put a 4 out there. Okay, so when it said check that now, that means we're going to plug -3 in for the x, and we're going to plug 0 in for the y, and it should end up equaling 4. So, -3, whoops, why did I put that parentheses? +3 squared, plus 0 plus 2 squared. -3 plus 3 is 0, 0 squared is 0, 0 plus 2 is 2, 2 squared is 4, does 0 plus 4 equal 4? Yes. So to get all your points for number 3, you had to give one of those points that we found that was on the circle. You needed to show your equation, and then you needed to show this work that made it true. Okay? And then we're going to do number 4 exactly like that. Your worksheet cuts off, but it's actually supposed to have been on the back, the same thing as number 3. So we'll just do it all anyway.
But this time it's on the y-axis.
Yep. Okay, we good? I got what we need? Alright, last one. Get my axes drawn again. Oh, holy cats. It's not very good axes there. What?
Attention students, please check the junior senior Google Classroom for prom information. Tickets go on sale starting Monday, and you may pick up the outside date form from Miss Perry's classroom or the office. Thank you.
Okay, so there's our center. I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna go this way this time. Our center's at -1, 6, so let's go ahead and write the equation while we're here. Okay, if it was at -1, 6, what's gonna happen in here with my x?
Here we go. Plus 1.
+1. -1, 6, what's gonna happen in here with my y?
It'd be a -6.
My
Minus
1. 6, you're right, I was still stuck on the 1. Very good. Okay, now, this one said, I'll draw you a little picture over here. This one said, this one's gonna be tangent to the y-axis, so that's the up and down axis. So the center's way up there, so that means it's just gonna bump that axis. So for this point to bump that axis, that means its radius is just 1, right? So 1 squared, to finish my equation off, is 1. So now I'm just going to come 1 in every direction from my center. And I got a little old bitty circle up there.
Kind of like an oval for me.
Well, we don't have, didn't bring out any fancy graph paper or anything. Okay, so we got our equation now. The question asks to name a point on the circle. Well, I just plotted 4, so you can pick any of them you want. Christian, which one you want to use? 0, 6. So that's a good answer. Now I'm going to plug that into the equation just to make sure it works. So 0 plus 1 squared plus 6 minus 6 squared has to equal 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1. 6 minus 6 is 0. 0 squared is 0. Does 1 plus 0 equal 1? Yes, it do. So that's very good. That's it. How you feel about circles?
Pretty easy.
Cool, cool, cool.
Like last year was a waste of time. This is a harder one.
Say that. I don't understand what you
I feel like last year was a waste of time. This is supposed to be the hardest work.
Oh, that was pretty easy, circle. I think, I'm not positive, but I think ellipses are Monday, so those are
You
more
want
like
us
the
to take a picture of
ovals.
this and-
Yeah. Yes, get that.